Greetings, everyone. My name is Karen Lesser, and today I'm going to be walking you through the technical aspects of submitting an application for the Prospect Hill Foundation's new youth program application. Let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing you'll need to do if you want to submit an application for the Prospect Hill Foundation's new youth program is visit the Prospect Hill Foundation's website. From there, you'll go to the Grant Making tab here, and then select New Youth Program. Then you're going to want to scroll down and click Eligibility and How to Apply. We're going to assume for the purpose of this training that you've already read over the eligibility criteria and you feel that you're eligible to apply for this program. But if you have not, make sure you go ahead and read through that before you proceed and submit an application. So you're going to scroll down here and click here to apply now. And I just wanted to highlight one thing for you before we click that button, which is if you see down here where it says click here to access the application questions in a Word document format. So if you do want to review the questions that are in the portal ahead of time before you go ahead and begin the application formally, you can certainly do that. If you click here, you can see all those questions. Just note that you will have to submit your application in the portal at some point. Applications will not be accepted via Word format. So just something to be aware of if you do decide to download the questions. So like I said, you'll want to click here to apply now. So what you'll see then is this, it'll take you to this home screen. And from here, you're going to want to click New User right there. So you'll see that it automatically defaults to grant, which is great because this is a new youth program grant. So you're then going to want to fill in your organizational information. So because this is a test, I'm just going to fill in some fake information, though of course you would want to fill in the information that pertains to your organization. So you'll note here that the EIN number is not required. However, if your organization is an independent nonprofit, or if you do already have a fiscal sponsor, we do ask that you fill in that EIN information. However, if you are in the process of getting a fiscal sponsor, you're still eligible to apply. You just want to leave that EIN field blank. So again, if you have an EIN, please go ahead and put that in. It's very helpful to us, but we just wanted to make it optional for those who are in the process of getting a fiscal sponsor or in the process of becoming a formal nonprofit organization. So we're going to assume that I have a EIN number in this case, so I'll just go ahead and fill that in. And again, since this is just a test, we're just going to go ahead and fill in Karen Test. So let's go to the next page. So here you'll be asked to fill in other vital information. So you're going to fill in your phone number. You're going to fill in so you'll note that the street address here is again optional. We ask that if you are able to provide a street address, that you kindly do provide it, even though it's optional. The reason we left it optional is that some organizations do not disclose their location for security purposes, which is totally understandable. But for those that don't have security concerns, we do ask that you fill that in. So we'll go ahead and fill in the information. And just a note, when you were asked to provide your contact information on the previous page, that should be the name of the person submitting this application. For those who may want to provide their executive director's information, note there will be a space in the application itself to provide that information. So we ask that the person who's submitting the application does write their own first and last name, and that you don't just simply put organization name development or something like that, that you put the name of the person who's actually filling out the application. So we'll say that, we're going to say New York City. We're just going to fill in some fake information here. So you can see here, again, you have the option to fill in things like your organization's website, best practice. If you have it, please fill it in, but we don't want to require it for those that don't. And then this is where it's very important that you put in an actual email address, because what's going to happen is after this step, it will actually go ahead and send a verification email to your email address. So I have one of those emails pulled up separately. So I'm just going to put in a fake email address here, but it's very important that you put in your true email address. Then we'll go ahead and go to the next step. So something that I really want to highlight, because this often trips people up, your username is actually going to default to whatever is before the @ symbol in your email address. You do have the ability to edit your username if you want to, but if you don't, it will default to whatever is before the @ symbol in your email. So it's just something to really pay attention to and be mindful of here. Or if you get tripped up, make sure you just try whatever is before the @ symbol of your email when you go back to log in and retrieve your application. So you can see here the requirements for creating a password. It's important to note that the application portal actually won't accept any special characters, so you want to just keep it to numbers and letters and above 8 characters. So I'm just going to create a fake password here. We're going to finish that, and then we'll hit register. So as you all just saw, I actually put in a fake test email address, so I'm not going to get that verification email. But I'll show you what one looks like in a second. As you can see, it says in order to complete the registration process and to submit your application, you need to check your email to verify that your email address is legitimate and to confirm your username and password. So what you should receive in your email address will look something like this. So this is a test email that I did a while back, but I just want to show you what you can expect to receive. So the subject, it will come from the Prospect Hill Foundation. The subject line will say, please verify your email for the Prospect Hill Grantee Portal. And then you'll see the message with a link that you need to click to verify your email address. So you'll just want to go ahead and click that. So when you click that link, what it will take you to is it should take you back to a login page. So this is the part where now I'm going to go ahead and put a fake email that I did previously, or a fake username that I did previously in here, so I can walk you through the next step. So it will take you to this page, back to sign in again. And if we click sign in, it should take us right to the application. So you can see here that it took us straight into the application. If you do not see a screen like this, don't panic. Go back to the new youth program eligibility page and click here to apply now, and then go to log in. So you just click the button again and then click go here to log in. And again, it should take you right to that page. As you can see, I'm already logged in, so it took me straight there. So if you're trying to start an application, you're at the first phase and you're not seeing this page, that means you just need to go back to the Prospect Hill Foundation page, click here to apply now, and then log in, and this should come up. So I just want to make that clear that even if you don't get automatically taken to this after you verify your email address, once you log in, once you click that button and go to log in, you should see it at that point. So what you can see is that the organizational information should auto-populate based on what you put in when you were registering, but you're going to be asked now to provide some additional information. So you'll see things like you'll have the opportunity to put in a Facebook if you have a Facebook page, and we ask that you copy and paste the URL in rather than putting your handle. Same for Instagram, just go to your Instagram page, copy and paste the URL, fill that in. Then you'll be asked when your organization was founded. Again, the opportunity to put in your EIN, Twitter, any other social media. So if you have a YouTube, you can put that information in here. And then we're going to ask you some questions related to your staff. So let's say you don't have any part-time staff, you can just go ahead and put 0, that's fine. So then you'll hit save and next down at the bottom. Move to your contact information. So you can see here, it already populated some fake information that I had put in. So you can see this was a test that I did, but yours should auto-populate, and then you may be asked to fill in some additional information. So let's go into the application questions. We can again hit save and next. So, and just a word of advice. We typically recommend that you fill out our application in Google Chrome. It has the best effect. So if you're also having problems with speed or things aren't working that great, try using Google Chrome. That should be helpful in submitting the application. So as you can see here, there are a lot of different questions. I won't walk you through all of them. I just want you to know, you'll be asked to provide your organization's operating budget. You'll see there's a number of blanks here for different leadership representatives. And the reason why we did this is for those organizations that may have a co-director leadership model, we wanted to give you the opportunity to put in all of your different leaders' names and contact information. But if you just have a single executive director who leads your organization, that's perfectly fine. Just go ahead and fill in this top portion here, and then you can skip over these additional slots. Don't feel like you need to put in your board members or anything. This is just for those organizations that have a shared co-director model for organizational leadership. So you'll see all of those questions. The opportunity to provide a preferred method of contact. So if your executive director prefers to be contacted by text, email, phone call, you can note that here. Then you'll be briefly asked to describe your leadership structure. Just a word of note on this question right here and on all of the questions. So when you see, please limit your response to 150 words, that's not a hard and fast cutoff. That's really a little bit flexible, and the reason why is we didn't want to make you have to spend a lot of time going back and forth and wordsmithing to get down by 1 or 2 words. It's really just a point of guidance. You know, if you put in something like 500 words, it will probably not allow you to do that. But we didn't want to really be so strict in terms of 140 words or 160 words or 165 words. So note, it's not a hard and fast rule there. And that applies for any other questions that have word limits. So you can see here, we'll also ask about the organization's stipend policy. This is the opportunity where if you are in the process of gaining a fiscal sponsor, you can fill in that information here, or if you do already have a fiscal sponsor, you can fill that in here as well. If you want to select your region, again, the program funding is only for organizations in New York City, the Bay Area, or Rhode Island, so you'll have to select one of those 3. Then you'll be asked what you consider to be your neighborhoods or communities. You can interpret that question as you like and go ahead and fill that in. Select the age of the individuals that you work with predominantly. So you can see here, you can click yes or no. And just note that it defaults to no, and sometimes the button can be a little bit touchy, so you might have to click yes a couple different times. So if it doesn't work the first time, just go ahead and click it twice, and it should then change over. Approaches you take to your work, again, it's a yes/no button, so feel free, and if you click somewhere and it takes a couple times, just be persistent. Click it twice, and then you should see it switch to green. And then you have the opportunity to provide an other field here as well. Finally, these are the narrative questions. Make sure you read all the instructions. I won't read them all for you, but again, they're also in that Word document as well if you want to read them ahead of time. And you can see here that this is a large text box, and again, with the opportunity to be a little bit above that 400 word limit, not trying to be strict here, just trying to provide some general guidance. So you can go ahead and fill those in. And then at the bottom here, you'll see there's an optional question where if your organization has been in the news, if you have a really interesting blog post, if you have a series of photos on your website that you want to provide to demonstrate more about your work, you can certainly fill that in here in this optional box as well. So you do have some additional optional room for things that aren't covered in the application, but that you feel are really important to provide. So finally, there's an optional question, or it's a required question down here, but it's not actually used to judge the application at all. It's just for data collection purposes. So you'll want to go ahead and fill this out. But again, it has no bearing on your application. It's really just so the Prospect Hill Foundation can gain some meaningful insight into different challenges or areas of growth facing the nonprofit sector. So again, this question is required. We ask that you complete it, but it has no bearing on the status of your application, and hopefully it should be pretty quick to go ahead and fill in. So once you've filled in all of this information, you're going to want to hit save. And actually, I recommend to you that you hit save at numerous points throughout the process. Just in case you don't want to lose any information that you're doing. So I wouldn't wait until you get to the very end to hit save. Go ahead and keep hitting save throughout. And the only save button, it's important to note, is here at the bottom. So if you're looking for the save, you just want to scroll all the way down and hit save here. You can see it's going to ask us to wait. So you can go ahead and save your application, and then if you ever want to return to it, you should be able to return to it, and you can see it's going to say what you haven't filled in so far. And actually, if there's quite a number of things you haven't filled in, it will show a selection. But don't worry, before you submit, it will prompt you if there's anything else that's still remaining. So if you ever want to log out, work on your application at a different time, not a problem. You can always pick back up your application by going to the dashboard here. And then you should see it right there, and you can click to edit it. So you can always you can always put a pause on your application and then come back to it and keep working on it. You just, again, have to go here to the dashboard and then click the little edit tool. So the only point at which you can no longer edit your application is after you hit review, submit, and then submit. And it's important to note that, first of all, the button is only up here in the top right corner. So if you're looking to submit, that's where it's going to be. And it's also important to know that you actually have to hit this button 2 times. So the first time is going to be, it's going to show you the application in full for you to review as a final sort of, yes, check, this is exactly what I wanted. And then the second time is actually going to be to submit it. I'm not going to go through and submit it because obviously I haven't filled out quite a number of the fields, but I do want to show you the email that you're going to get when you finish submitting it. So you'll know that you're absolutely done because you'll receive another automated email, and that email will look like this. So it's going to come again from the Prospect Hill Foundation, and then what it has here is the number for your submission. So that's really great to know because that's how the application is now assigned in our system. So, and you can see here the date and an application has been submitted. So it's really important that if you aren't receiving that email, first of all, check your junk mail because often automated emails go to your junk mail. But second of all, you might want to go log in, look at your dashboard, and make sure that it is uneditable, because once it's submitted, it will no longer be editable. So you will no longer see this little, pen and paper icon. You'll only see the view icon once it's been submitted. So, and the status will also change to submitted as well. So that's another way to look at it. So yeah, so that's basically the end. That's how you kind of walk through it from start to end. Again, if you have any questions about the application, we do have an FAQ page that will be up on our website. You can also, if you're experiencing real technical difficulties that haven't been addressed in this webinar, you can also email Penny or Zanny at info@prospect-hill.org, and they can help provide some more technical assistance to you through that as well. But yeah, in general, just make sure that you are using Google Chrome, that you remember that your username defaults to whatever's before the @ sign in your email, and that in general, even if a field is not required, please go ahead and fill it out if it is applicable to your organization. So thank you so much for your time. Thanks for listening in on this webinar. I hope it was informative, and best of luck submitting your application, and please reach out if you have any questions. Thank you.